Item 4 on the agenda, we'll bring in the Chief Executive.
Thank you, Provost. As all members of the Council will be aware, Sheriff Ruth Anderson conducted a fatal accident inquiry into the tragic death of Declan Haney earlier this year and published her findings on the 5th of September. And it was important, I think, to bring an early report back to all members of the Council on the findings of that fatal accident inquiry, and that's before members today. I think, Provost, with your approval, Mr Andrew Lowe, who's Renfrewshire Child Protection Committee's independent chair, would welcome the opportunity to address the Council briefly and give you his reflections on the fatal accident inquiry, and then myself, the Director of Social Work, and any other officer present will be happy to answer any questions that members may have on the paper.
Mr Lowe.
Provost, thank you very much, and members, I'm very grateful for this opportunity to speak to you today as your independent Chair of Child Protection. Sheriff Anderson's report closes an unhappy chapter with definitive judgments on practice by all agencies involved in protecting Renfrewshire's children. But it also opens a new chapter with 4 recommendations, 2 of which have national implications. And 5 years on from the tragic events at Bruce Road, there's an inevitable tension between the desire to mainstream this work, build on the learning, build it into daily practice and move on. And on the other hand, the need to continue to demonstrate diligent and determined attention to learning and improvement. The public expectation on this was made very clear to me on the 5th of September, following publication of the report, when I had to submit to a great run of media interviews. There's a keenness in this matter, and the public expect to see Renfrewshire's Child Protection Partnership taking forward the improvement programme with expedition and with diligence. So it's a pleasure to me to see the Chief Executive's report on the agenda today at such an early stage, setting the report before you, and at the same time making recommendations for a supplementary estimate to go forward for the partnership. And I think the words are to make budget provision for staff across all agencies. So I very much welcome that. I welcome also on item 7 on your agenda today the Chief Social Work Officer's report, because he has listed as his first key priority maintaining appropriate levels of service at a time of financial constraint and rising demand in paragraph 615, and I think that again should demonstrate to you that agencies are indeed taking the Sheriff's words seriously. As the incoming chair of the committee, I was gratified to read that chief officers, the Child Protection Committee and staff across services have taken the recommendations from the SCR very seriously. That's a direct quote from Sheriff Anderson. I would of course have expected nothing less, and I'd like to assure members that the Child Protection Committee will apply the same rigour in implementing the Sheriff's recommendations. Accordingly, I will ask the Child Protection Committee at their meeting on the 29th of this month to adopt the fatal accident inquiry report and identify myself as independent chair as accountable for delivering the recommendations. Finally, I propose to write to Sheriff Anderson to formally accept her report and to demonstrate purpose and urgency. Thank you very much.
Do any of the members present have any questions for the officers? Sorry.
Thanks, Provost. It's just Councillor Ian McMillan wants to say a few words. Just to make one point, in the report that you'll see, one of the things that we have asked for is that, in conjunction with the work under Mr Lowe's chair of the Adult and Child Independent Chair of the Adult and Child Protection Committees, that we also have a member officer working group, and that it's our wish that, of course, that is a cross-party working group. Members from the opposition, and maybe after this council meeting, if it's agreed that the opposition could put forward names for councillors to be part of that group to look at what the council is doing and to ensure that we again are implementing the 4 recommendations from the FAI and continual scrutiny of our child protection arrangements, including the 16 points that were made by the significant case review that was published some years ago. I also just finally make the point, as Mr Lowe has done, to note and to, I hope, welcome the £70,000 that we're wanting to earmark for a media campaign and also for continued learning and development in the staff. I was grateful and took the opportunity to meet the Children's Minister a few weeks ago, I think on the Tuesday or the Wednesday following publication of the FAI, and discussed with her the details from the FAI. I also raised a couple of points that are detailed in the report at 1.15, and that is increasing the number of independent child protection chairs across the country, across Scotland, because currently not all councils have independent chairs. Also, to follow the example of Renfrewshire and other parts of west of Scotland and introducing an unseen child protocol for all of Scotland. And third thing is mandatory training for all GPs in child protection. Hopefully these are things that the Minister can take forward and we will see happen in the near future. Thanks, Provost.
Mr McMillan.
Thanks very much. Certainly as a convener I accept the Sheriff's findings, and it's really up to us to work on them over the coming months and coming years. And I think that's the point I want to make, is that this isn't an issue for today, this is an issue for tomorrow, next week, next month, next year and forever. It's something we can never allow to slip. Now, new people come into the organisation, people leave, people get more experience, and I have to say sometimes a bit cynical about things, but we have to make sure our staff are fully aware of the implications of this report. Now, there is some criticism in here about not sharing information, nobody taking full responsibility, and we fully accept that. The GPs thing, I've been banging on about GPs for quite a while, and that's something that has to be faced up. GPs have to take responsibility for this, because they are very often in the front line, meeting families, meeting children, and they have to be aware of the guidelines, and they have to take part in mandatory training. If it's good enough for council staff, it's good enough for the GPs to take part in that as well. Mark McMillan mentioned some of the extra funding, but some of it is also for a media campaign as well. And I would hope, and I can't make any promises, but I would hope this would be a continuing thing. This wouldn't just be because of this Sheriff's report. It would be something that has to continue, and it's something that the general public have to take very, very seriously, because the general public are very often the eyes and ears of the official services, if you like, out there in the community. Now, thankfully I've never experienced anything like this, but if I had seen anything and I didn't report it, or something happened to that child, you just couldn't live with yourself. So I would urge people, if they see anything, they hear anything that gives them any concern, report it. Even if it is just to clear their own conscience that they've done the right and proper thing, that has to be passed on. Nobody ever wants to live with the regret of never having opened their mouth and something serious happening to a child. So I appeal to members of the public, whether they're shopkeepers, their neighbours, their housewives, that drop their kids off at school, whatever your role is in the community, to keep your eyes and ears open, because it's a responsibility of us all. As I say, we fully accept the recommendations from the Sheriff, and we'll be working on that forever. Thank you.
Can we agree the report? Thank you. Mr Lowe, I don't know if you intend to leave at the moment.